Welcome to section 11.2, Mechanisms of Evolution. In this section, we'll look at the four key mechanisms of evolution: natural selection, mutation, genetic drift, and gene flow. Each of these forces acts in different ways to change allele frequencies in populations, helping us explain how species adapt, survive, and sometimes even go extinct. By the end of this section, you should be able to describe the four basic causes of evolution. Again, natural selection, mutation, genetic drift, and gene flow, and also explain how each of these forces changes allele frequencies. As you listen, think about how these mechanisms connect to real-world examples of adaptation. Evolution isn't driven by chance alone. Instead, it results from four forces that act on populations: natural selection, mutation, genetic drift, and gene flow. These forces change allele frequencies, which in turn shape the traits we see. Understanding these forces helps explain why populations don't stay the same from one generation to the next. We'll explore each force on the next few slides. Natural selection acts when certain phenotypes, or the traits we can see, make individuals more likely to survive and reproduce. For example, darker colored moths had an advantage in polluted environments, while lighter colored moths were favored once pollution declined. Over time, the advantageous alleles become more common in the population. This is evolution with a direction. Traits that fit the environment are more likely to persist. Mutations are the ultimate source of new alleles. A mutation is simply a change in the DNA sequence of a gene. These changes can be harmful, helpful, or neutral, but without them, evolution would grind to a halt. Here we see an example from bacteria. A mutation in the ribosome gene prevents streptomycin, an antibiotic, from binding. That mutation made the bacterium resistant to the drug, giving it a huge survival advantage. Genetic drift is the random fluctuation of allele frequencies. It's especially powerful in small populations where chance events can wipe out alleles. For example, if a few plants in a tiny meadow don't reproduce one year due to a storm, alleles they carry could disappear completely, even if those alleles were helpful. Alternatively, chance events can also fix alleles, regardless of whether they're advantageous. We say an allele is fixed in a population when the allele frequency reaches 100%. This means all individuals in the population now carry only that allele, and no genetic variation remains at the locus. When an allele is fixed, other alleles for that gene have been completely lost in the population. And we can see that example in the slide here with the rabbits, where we start out with alleles that code for brown coat color or white coat color, and over time, the allele for white coat color is lost, so the allele for brown coat color has become fixed. Two situations magnify drift. In a bottleneck effect, a large population is suddenly reduced by disaster, leaving only a few survivors whose alleles dominate the next generations. In the founder effect, a small group breaks off to start a new population, carrying only a slice of the genetic diversity. Both effects can lead to major shifts in allele frequencies purely by chance. Gene flow is the movement of alleles between populations. This can happen when individuals migrate and reproduce in a new population, or even when gametes, like pollen, travel. Gene flow tends to reduce genetic differences between populations by mixing alleles, making populations more genetically similar over time. But it can also introduce new alleles into a population, boosting its diversity. Evolution is driven by four mechanisms: natural selection, mutation, genetic drift, and gene flow. Each one alters allele frequencies in different ways. Together, they explain much of the diversity and adaptability of life on Earth.